Welcome to Sorry You Went Viral, the podcast all about the stories that are really setting social media alight over the last week or so, and of course the human side to those stories. My name's Hannah.
And I'm Tim, and coming up on today's show, Dua Lipa's viral reaction to a ukulele player. The Hawk Tuah Girl talks about going viral and what she likes and doesn't like about it, and the hunt for an unusual puffin jumper that went viral.
First, though, on what's gone viral. One sightseeing Swiftie got the wrong end of the stick on her trip to Ireland. So this wonderful Swiftie, poor Swiftie, is Liz Wisdom, hilariously. She's a designer who lives in the US, but she flew over to a Taylor Swift concert in Ireland, in Dublin, because, lots of Swifties do that, because you can presumably get cheaper tickets if you prepare to fly across the world to go and do it, to go and see her. So anyway, the concert itself was in Dublin. She was travelling, goodness knows where she was travelling from, but she found herself in Donegal, in County Donegal, which is in Northern Ireland, not quite north, in the north of Ireland, not quite Northern Ireland. My goodness me, you can see why she got confused as well. Anyway, I won't go into the history of it all for all the Americans who might be listening, or non-Brits and Irish who might be listening at the moment. But essentially, she found herself in the middle of an Orange Order parade, and it was all to mark the Battle of the Boyne, which is a very, very significant date in the Protestant calendar. And it's kind of seen to be sort of antagonising Catholics. And it looks like just a parade. Poor Liz herself was like, what is this? Is this some kind of like July 4th equivalent kind of happiness parade? And it's got a little bit more to it than just a happiness parade. But the comments that were put on this video from Liz, when she's essentially saying, what the hell is going on here? What have I found myself in Ireland? And someone said, potentially the funniest video I've ever seen. Someone else, she's going to be horrified she reacted like this when she finds out. It was absolutely phenomenal. And the fact that she was also wearing her like Irish flag tricolour bracelet. Obviously, all Swifties have their friendship bracelets. And it's just, surrounded by all of these Orange Order Protestants wearing her like, yay, republicanism bracelet was just, wonderful, a wonderful turn of events. And then she's followed it up, obviously, with other videos as well. So just to explain that once she realised what it was, then she's followed it up and also apologized.
I'm sorry, I didn't know that this was a controversial thing. I thought I just stumbled upon a parade out in the Irish countryside. Turns out, major politically divisive situation going on. How was I to know? Okay, for context, I am an American who was in Dublin for the Eras Tour. Controversial, I know. But traveling around Ireland today, was going from Sligo to Donegal when all of a sudden got stuck in standstill traffic for 45 minutes because all of these shuttle buses are lined up on the side of the road and people just start pouring out of them by the hundreds. They're playing their flutes, their whistles, their drums. They're having a grand old time. And I'm thinking, this is a quaint little parade. Just like, America, we had July 4th last week. We had parades. Maybe they have something like that going on here. The Irish Facebook travel groups that I was a part of did not cover this. They did not cover this at all. So sorry about that. I'm going to do some Googling, some research, some learning. Thank you for everyone in the comments, keeping me educated, keeping me young.
So Liz, bless you. You've now apologised and we completely forgive you, of course, for getting that wrong. Not many people would necessarily know what they'd found themselves in. Hilariously as well, she did go off and do some research, and she was trying really hard to make sure that she'd got all the rest of the facts in her story correct. And she realised that she was pronouncing Donegal, Donegal, I think, anyway, she got it wrong. And she was trying, and I think she still basically got it wrong. So it's Donegal, for those who don't know. And obviously it comes out much better if you say it in an Irish accent as well, which I don't have. So she then posted another video apologising for that.
Donegal. I just filmed a whole video of me pronouncing this over and over again, and then I went to Google just to double check it, and I was still doing it wrong. I was doing Donegal, but it's Donegal. I just came from Donegal. I'm headed to Donegal. What's the move in Donegal tonight? Do I have it? Please tell me. Please tell me I have it. I would like to say in my defense that Ed Sheeran should have, could have, would have put out a song called Donegal Girl. Instead, he put out Galway Girl. And I think that he could have used this opportunity to educate the masses, because Galway, it's pretty easy. You pronounce it the way that it's spelled, but Donegal, much harder. Now I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, actually, they're kind of the same thing. But I still think Donegal Gal. Oh, we could have done a song, Donegal Gal. I'm doing it wrong again. Donegal Gal. Donegal Gal. Okay, that's a bit of a tongue twister. I see why he didn't do that. Also, Ed Sheeran, not Irish. In case you think that I think he's Irish, I don't think that, and I definitely never thought that.
Yeah, it's kind of compounding error after error. But what I love about this is Liz is such, like, you could tell, great character, great personality, and it's completely innocent. There is no maliciousness intended at all. And, you know, I think the comments reflected that. Yes, of course, there are some people who are a bit nasty and snipey. Say, why didn't you do your research? And she, you know, how many of us would do that, you know, when going to a Taylor Swift concert? But I think generally, I think reflected the kind of the goodwill towards her. And she was very honest. And, you know, she did follow-up videos apologising for it.
And 2.5 million people saw that first video of her saying, can someone please tell me what kept me stuck 45 minutes. And for those people who said, why didn't you do your research before? It's just like, well, she's done her research now and she's got a hell of a lot of views and traction on social media. So arguably she's done her bit for kind of like those sort of Irish history passionatas. It's most of the comments, as you say, were really kind of like funny, finding it really funny, and sort of in complete appreciation of the fact that she's just kept going back, kept saying sorry. So full credit to you, Liz, and I hope you had a phenomenal time at the Taylor Swift concert. It looked amazing by all accounts.
Next, a story where there wasn't so much goodwill and a very kind of controversial, passionate topic. A popular book influencer has left her job at Waterstones after a Twitter row with an author over their difference of opinions over transgender issues. You may, if you are into your books, into the book community, you've heard of Tilly Fitzgerald, who's also better known as TillyLovesBooks, a huge following on Twitter and Instagram. And she, you know, reviews books and shares and, you know, reviews and gets back to people with advice on things. But look, we know what Twitter's like, and particularly on Twitter, and it's very hard to get involved in rows or debates on very tricky issues such as transgender issues and women's rights. An author called Christina Doucher, she posted a tweet talking about this new publishing network for authors who wanted to safeguard women's rights. And Tilly replied saying, "Ooh, I'd enjoy tearing up your books up and popping them in the bin today. Thanks for the heads up." Now, it's not clear exactly what happened next. You know, what we do know is that she has left her job at Waterstones. We don't know if she's been fired or been asked to leave. You know, there are people pointing fingers at Christina about her being to blame for this. She's been very clear on social media, on Twitter, about what she has and hasn't done. You know, she said, "Are you talking about your books or Waterstones books?" It's not clear. But hey, this conversation isn't limited just to the two of them. There are people on both sides very passionately getting involved, and whether Waterstones was tagged in it or not is not clear. Though what we do know, a few days ago, Tilly posted this video on Twitter, a very tearful video explaining what happened to her.
I told her on Twitter that I was going to throw away her books after I found out that she was a bigot and just tried to get lots of other people in the publishing industry fired purely for standing up for trans rights. And she tagged Waterstones, and they have decided to fire me for my social media usage. It's the first mistake I've ever made. I've been nothing but an exemplary employee there. I thought twice about whether to post this because I don't know whether to appeal, but I don't even know if I want to work for a company that works like that, to be honest, that have no morals and that are more worried about their reputation being stung by the maybe 10,000 followers that she has in total, and poor sales, I imagine, because most people don't know who I'm talking about. They're more worried about that than somebody who has sold so many books for them and who so many customers have said nothing but good things about. And I'm devastated.
I mean, so a very tearful Tilly there, and devastated, obviously, to have caused this furore and to have lost her job as well. Now, publicly, Waterstones have said the following: we have received some messages about an employee who has been dismissed. This was on the grounds of contravening Waterstones policies and has nothing to do with transgender rights. And the press office as well from Waterstones have said we are an inclusive employer following due process in all HR matters. For obvious reasons, we are unable to comment on individual cases. So she obviously was dismissed from there. So we do know that. And I suppose devastated as I do feel for Tilly for having lost a job that she clearly loves and she clearly has a huge following for as well. I do think that this sort of case kind of highlights the fact that if you have a public persona, a public platform with a significant following as she does, and you're being paid by a bigger organisation, someone else, to actually present your views or the company's views on books, in this case, then you have a duty to not be too controversial in a way, or to not put your very, very personal, controversial view forward in such a way. I think it would have been okay for her to have said something. I think it's just the language she used as well, which is always, kind of even more confusing when you think this is someone who's clearly kind of like a literary specialist as well. But to say, it was quite narky and sarcastic, like, oh, well, I enjoy tearing up your books. And it's just a bit like misjudged, I think, by Tilly. I think she probably would accept that as well. She's made a mistake. It's just the response to that mistake, which she feels has been a bit heavy-handed. First of all, in losing her job, and presumably as well in some of the responses that she's had from other people. I mean, she declined an interview with us, but she did say, "I'm insanely grateful for the support I've received from people in the book community who know me best." And I suppose here's hoping that she may still carry on doing this job that she loves, but in a different capacity, perhaps in a personal capacity, especially since, whether she likes it or not, she's already got a significant following, and presumably after this she might even have gained a lot more, because that's the nature of social media, right? If there's something controversial, it gets more traction as well. So maybe she can carry on in a different capacity.
Yeah, I think it's tricky because it's being fueled by supporters of both individuals. There are authors coming out publishing open letters to Waterstones asking or campaigning, lobbying for her to get a job back, and there are supporters of Christina who are talking about it. Christina's been very clear. She kind of said there is no win in this game, but I didn't start this game. She's not gloating or anything like that at all. Tilly, I think, is now keeping a lower profile on things, which is probably the right thing to do. But it is so difficult. We used to see a few years ago when in bios saying these are not the views of my employer, but that doesn't really work on social media. And obviously she appears to have violated some sort of Waterstones policy. We don't know what. It could be about not bringing the company into disrepute. We don't know. But it is, as you said, very difficult. And I think sometimes when you have such high profile, you're scrutinised even more. And it is really hard. None of us have any training or warning about these things. We can get carried away with these things. But we hope the best for Tilly and with Christina as well. And, hope that we can move on from this.
Yeah. Now, next up on What's Gone Viral, we move on to the ukulele player who did a viral performance for Dua Lipa at Glastonbury, and the singer's reaction to that little performance has also gone viral. Take a look.
Okay, Okay,
and I just wanted to play you 30 seconds of my song, and if you like it, I just want to get your reaction. That's it.
Okay.
I tell myself don't stress, things are gonna get better. Got no peace for the week, whatever. Singing in the street, like I'm playing Coachella. Not a champagne life, but I'm happy with the Stella, yeah. Listen, aye, and she don't do what they tell her. Ice cream weather, but she's all black leather. Spice like pepper, 10 out of 10 Ain't got a fella, but I'll never say, never lie, no. How many times can I fall for this? So many nights when my phone don't ring, yeah. Aye, now she's acting all extra, yeah.
I love it, mate. It's so good.
No. Can I get a hug?
So good, so good.
Nice to meet you.
Of course. Nice to meet
Legend,
you.
you smashed it on
Yeah,
stage.
thank you so much.
So this is Liam C. He's an aspiring musician. He's got not an insignificant following already on social media anyway, but he snuck into Glastonbury, fair play, and tried to film various musicians and stars' reactions to his music, to his performances. Dua Lipa, you can see here, is from that video. She's very, very polite. She gives him his 30 seconds that he asks for, but she just sort of seemed to pull a face, shall we say, which has gone viral in and of itself. And then she says at the end, she goes, "Oh, I love it, mate. It's so good, so good, so good." Although her face says arguably the opposite. So yeah, Twitter was less than polite about him, shall we say, and his sort of kamikaze style. Yeah, like there's been some good responses to this as well.
Yeah, so this was the video, I think, must have been on Liam C's social profiles before, but as we've seen before, it gets ripped and posted elsewhere, and a Dua Lipa Hungary fan account posted it, and it was picked up by another Twitter user with the caption, "I'm crying, she did not give a single fuck." That got seen 23.5 million times.
Oh, God.
That meme has gone crazy. And of course, everyone piling in on Twitter, taking the mickey, using the meme that's still of her face, going, look. And, you know, he did say, Liam C then did see that tweet and did reply, which I thought was quite nice, saying, "You could have tagged me." You know, he's looking for the publicity. He's trying to, you know, he really wants to be a musician. Then a fellow Glastonbury goer, a guy called Tom Flannery, tweeted a video saying, "Had the worst 5 days at Glasgow with him sitting next to our tent, so I know her pain." Someone replied saying, "All you need with a hangover," he goes, "Tell me about it, waking up every morning to a different song."
But then, like, Liam, in fairness, as you say, he's been playing along with this. This is all about promotional stuff.
Done it. Played to Stormzy, played to Dua Lipa. We've had a fucking great weekend. This is what it's about. It's not about having loads of money in your bank. Being a rock star is being skint and breaking down fucking doors.
He's not done badly out of this at all. He can clearly take being the kind of the butt of the jokes, as it were. And in fairness to him, like, he got in front of some pretty amazing people, some top stars. So, and even if they didn't love it, which clearly Dua Lipa doesn't love it, let's face it, but he still has got 23 million people looking at his music and looking at him performing to a superstar. So, you know, job done.
Okay, ukulele is not my favourite instrument, I'll be honest.
Oh,
and
come on. Come on.
You know, if I had a hangover, that would really hurt. I mean, I'm against all kind of camping at music festivals after a traumatic experience about 15 years ago at V Festival. So I can see why he could be divisive. But, you know, I got in contact with him to find out what his reaction to going viral has been. And he says, you know, "I'm grateful for all the love I'm getting," laughing face. I'm just trying out there. I'm just out here trying to get myself noticed and my songs heard. And I guess I'm lucky that happened with Dua Lipa's help. And, you know, he did say he's seen a quote saying that he may have offended her. And he goes, "Look, it wasn't my intention at all. And if I did, I apologized to her profusely." And, you know, again, what I like, he says, "I don't expect everyone to be into what I'm doing, whether comments are negative or positive. I'm going to keep grinding." And he says, "Hope everyone has an amazing summer. Hopefully see some of you out and about." And, you know, I think fair play to him and good luck. Everyone has got to, you know, aspiring musicians particularly, you know, it's hard work trying to get publicity. And social media is a great platform for it. And as you said, he's got 63,000 followers on Instagram. So he has got fans. And yeah, of course, it didn't work out quite the way, but actually got far more publicity for his Dua Lipa video than he could ever have imagined.
Yeah, I think it probably worked out perfectly, actually. I don't think you could really ask for more than that. Like, she's not going to turn around and say, right, come and join me on stage, is she? So, I mean... Maybe that has happened. I saw that happen before, actually, not in person, but anyway. Yeah, I think he got the best result out of that than he could have got. So, and also wishing everyone an amazing summer, not with this weather, mate. You're going to have to be finding another big tent to perform to someone in somewhere else, I'm afraid.
Next, this really moves me. I saw this on Twitter, and 13 million other people have as well. A popular American science content creator who's been suffering with long COVID for the last couple of years posted, or her husband posted this video of him shaving her head. Take a look.
Yeah, it's a cool look.
Alright, let's see.
Yeah, you're hardcore. You need some tattoos now.
Alright, shall we? Oh my gosh, it's on my hair.
Go. There we go. All done.
So that's Deanna, known as the Physics Girl, hugely popular on YouTube and Twitter. As I said, 13 million people have seen this post that was shared by Kyle, her husband. He accompanied that video with a post saying that Deanna decided to shave her head to make it easier for herself on her journey with long COVID, saying many people struggling with this disease, do this if they're bedbound for extended periods of time. And, she says that she finds it exhausting and very hard to maintain her hair, wash her hair, and they thought this was easier for it. Obviously, it's quite moving, affecting her a lot. And, I think as a reminder for a lot of us, we think about COVID being something in the past, thankfully over, but for a lot of people it isn't. I know friends who have got COVID recently, but particularly as long COVID, a lot of people are struggling with it. But unfortunately, there has been positive support for Deanna, but there has been negative comments still about people questioning the concept of COVID or long COVID, and it must be very hard for her friends and family.
Yeah. I think you're right in that we don't really think about it too much now, even though we think about COVID. And as you said, there's a whole kind of like new strain of COVID that's been going around. But long COVID, so little is known about it because it's only been the last 5 years or so. So it's they are actually trying to raise money for research into this disease as well. And I think, they recently held a live stream event, and what started as they said that what started as a $10,000 goal turned into a mind-blowing nearly $122,000 fundraiser. And that comes from the Open Medicine Foundation as well, who are presumably trying to raise these funds so they can find out a bit more about it. But as you said, it's there were some negative comments, which I just don't really understand. I think that sort of incomprehension about it was sort of summed up really well by Marit Skotheim, who 2024, who said, her name's Marit Skotheim. She said, Diana Cowan, 5 years after being listed by Forbes, now suffering immense debilitating illness. And what's most prevalent in the comments? Gaslighting, harassment. What's wrong with people? Harassing a seriously ill person. It just, put as starkly as that, you sort of realize how grotesque it is, really, and unnecessary. But, most people have been sending in supportive comments, and they have raised a lot of money as well by being so open about this condition.
Yeah, I was taken by a post that Kyle, her husband, posted on her account last month saying, 2 years ago, I married my smart, adventurous, curious best friend. I loved her curiosity, and so did 3 million followers on her science YouTube channel. Now she's been 100% bedbound with long COVID for 1.5 years. She lays in a dark room, earplugs in, with only her mind and simple thoughts to keep her company. No, she can't talk, watch TV, read books, listen to podcasts, or even music. She can't tolerate visitors. Even the faint smell of laundry detergent makes her sicker. It's a kind of a locked-in hell, and there's currently no cure for this disease. I mean, just, looking at those photos of her, about how happy both of them were, and then seeing her now, and the live stream showed at times pictures of her, live stream of her in her room, and she's not moving. She's, they said it's not a still image. She's bedbound. She's not moving. I just, like any illness, debilitating illness, it's incredibly hard to see, but it's been played out on social media as because they are trying to raise awareness and raise funds. But there's still a lot of skeptics and people who maybe not just really, they don't say these things to people in front of their face, but they do so on social media. And it must be incredibly hard for her husband particularly to see these comments. Now it's what it's like to go viral, and we couldn't do this show without talking about the one and only Hawk Tuah Girl.
You gotta answer this. You got it.
What's one move in bed that makes a man go crazy every time?
Oh, you gotta give him that Hawk Tuah and spit on that thing. You get
Who?
Well, this is really interesting because we were talking about this. Social media has been ablaze, or I've seen, I'm probably more online than you are, but social media particularly has been ablaze about this woman. The hunt for this woman, identified eventually as Haliey Welch. But you hadn't heard of anything about her.
I hadn't heard of it, and when you first sent me the story caption saying we're going to talk about Hawk Tuah, I was like, what is that? What is that? I don't know what that is.
I'm glad I didn't have to explain it to you.
I know. As will become clear.
I think it's it's one of these things where a very online story seen by millions of people, and probably more men, and it's kind of playing into the seedy side of social media. And there was a huge hunt online for her. Internet detectives, we've heard that before, trying to track this girl down. People filming the women who looked like her, scouring social media, people claiming she was a teacher fired from her job, she's this bartender. She's just this ordinary person. And then all of a sudden, she appeared on stage at a gig in America. And then she spoke to Barstool Sports' Plan Brie Uncut and kind of explained what it was like to discover that she was going viral.
This video goes viral, you see it, and when you first see it, is it like millions of views? Like, are you officially the Hawk Tuah Girl, or you see it and you're like, maybe this won't be so big?
Yeah.
It was massive?
It was massive.
Okay, what goes through your head when that happens?
I was like, oh, well, this is kind of funny. I was like, it's not going to get any bigger than this. And I go back like an hour later and the views done went up by like 1 million. I was like, oh my God, there is no way that just happened. But sure enough, it did.
Yeah, and then it kept going and kept going. And then there was the search for you.
Yup.
And what did you want to do when there was a search? Was there a part of you that was like, I don't want to be known as the Hawk Tuah Girl?
Yeah, there was a big part of it. And then they started spelling my name wrong and making like accounts of me, which they got pictures off all my friends' like social medias and stuff like that. And which it's kind of creepy seeing your face on another account that don't belong to you. You're like,
I mean, it's quite an experience for her and her friend. What was really interesting in that video, that interview in Barstool Sports, Haliey and her friend said, we were really drunk. We got home, didn't even remember this situation being filmed by these YouTubers. And yeah, it went crazy. Her parents, she asked him, what do your parents think of this? And she goes, they think it's funny. I say silly things, but I didn't expect this to go the way it did. And just like really weird, people just, I saw so many fake profiles with images of her. So people, she said, stealing photos from her friends' accounts.
Yeah, that's the bit that really I find really disturbing, really, like the hunt for this girl, this woman. It kind of like was obviously really overwhelming for her, and it's quite frightening, really. Just like, anyone could go if you're filmed suddenly and you don't know that you're a bit drunk or whatever it is, you don't know that it's going to go viral. it's out of your control. You're the subject of it, but suddenly you're kind of public property, and everyone's not only looking for you, but then abusing your privacy, abusing your friends' privacy, like delving into, creating merchandise, making money out of you when you didn't ask for it, and you're being sort of like made into a commodity in and of yourself. I find that really, really disturbing. However, I mean, here's hoping she's going to turn this into a positive for her, because she's got like 1 million followers in a week. Is that right?
Yeah. So what she did, she said she deleted her socials about
Initially.
6 months ago. Previous to this. So I think this is what happens, because she didn't have, people couldn't find her profile. They created profiles for her, and I remember seeing like Conor McGregor following this fake profile and stuff like that. Like, it was all a bit kind of all stories around the hunt for this woman. But then, what was good is that she was like, right, okay, I'm going to own this. I'm going to, take advantage of this. And she set up her Instagram. She did this interview. She set up her Instagram. She set up a TikTok. 1 million followers on each. And what I really like, this video I'm going to show you, one of her Insta videos, just talking about kind of how her life has changed over these last few weeks.
Very awesome things that have changed my life so far since all this has happened. Number one, I got over my stage fright. I sang in front of 80,000 people with Zach Bryan the other night, and I cannot sing for but I did it anyway. Number two, I quit my job at the Spring Factory, and so I don't have to eat Taco Bell all the time, but I'm still going to do it anyways. Number three, I actually have to get ready more than one time out of the week now. I'm not allowed to look like Adam Sandler anymore. Well, it's not all delightful. Here are 3 things that have not been so great here lately. Number one, I have to convince my pawpaw not to shoot the paparazzi outside of our house every day, because they've been camped out here for like 2 weeks. Number two, stop asking me for the link in bio for my OnlyFans. I don't have an OnlyFans, and there will never be an OnlyFans. I just make funny jokes. That's all I do. And number three, I'm tired of the imposters and all the fake accounts. I don't have any kind of social media just yet besides Snapchat, but when I have the rest of it, you guys will be the first to know when I launch it. And by the way, there's one more thing that's really pissing me off. Any of you selling or purchasing merchandise online, it's not from me. It's not approved by me, and it's counterfeit, and I'm not making a damn dime off of any of it. But I just hired a manager, and I hired an attorney, so we're coming for you. But don't worry, I'm launching my merch store very soon.
What I love about Haliey is that she's really down to earth, and look, she says she's a smart ass, she says silly things on camera, but she's just an ordinary girl who's been kind of, caught up in all this publicity and just weird things about fans asking for OnlyFans accounts. But good thing she's quit her day job. She's doing publicity events. She did a club appearance, but she just looks kind of awkward a little bit in it, and she doesn't, all kinds or overawed by the fame. You've seen reality TV stars giving it large in club nights, and she's just like a bit like, oh gosh, this is a bit much.
Well, the difference being that TV stars or whatever, they've kind of like deliberately asked for it, haven't they? Yeah. Purposefully asked for that kind of attention, whereas she didn't. I love the bit when she says like one of the 3 bad things that happened: to convince my dad not to shoot the paparazzi. I can imagine that's an ongoing battle.
To be fair, the same thing. They've been camping out, stalking my daughter for 2 weeks. I'd probably be doing the same thing.
Exactly.
What I found was quite funny. The content creators, Tim and DTV, who filmed that video of Haliey, they were kind of complaining that it got ripped on Twitter and going viral elsewhere. They weren't getting any attention, but then also they're saying, well, we're not going as famous as her. And it's like, well,
it's not bad.
It doesn't really work like that. I mean, to be fair, it's a bit cheeky, and their video, I watched a long edit of the video, and they are going up to kind of on a seemingly like a Saturday night on a popular strip of bars, asking people who probably had a few drinks and kind of leading questions, kind of, and they're saying things they may regret later on. So it's a bit kind of advantageous. But yeah, it's all about Haliey. It's Haliey who made it, and she's the one who deserves to get the fame. Though I should say, Hannah, if you do want, they are doing some merch, Tim and DTV, in conjunction with Haliey. So I can always get you a Hawk Tuah 24 baseball cap for you if you would like to wear on your summer holidays?
If you buy me that cap, then this podcast is cancelled.
Okay, I'll get one. Maybe I'll get one for Lewis instead.
Now it is time for the timeline cleanser. And do you ever wish that you'd bought something and then just spent far too long, hours, days, months, years, regretting not buying it? Well, I know I have. And take a look at this tweet. This is Celia, who's an American, I think, and she lives in Berlin in Germany, though. And she posted this tweet last month, and it says, "My daughter asked, 'Do you ever have any regrets, Mum?' And while I know she was asking this question on a philosophical level, my mind immediately went to this puffin sweater I saw in Iceland. It's been 3 years since I saw it in a shop there, and I still regret not buying it." Now, that tweet got 4 million views. It is a beautiful sweater. I think that would stick in my mind as well if I saw it. But then the wonderful thing was that she got a reply to that tweet from a guy called Dave Whiskas, who said, "My regret is that I bought this exact sweater for my wife 2 years ago. She has worn it 0 times. I'm in New York City. Cover the shipping. And it's yours." To which Celia then responds and says, "People are amazing. Just 10 days ago, I shared a thought about one of my regrets in life. Of course, not buying a sweater sounds like a minor regret, but so many could relate. And then Dave made my wish a reality. This sweater made it from New York City to Berlin in record time." 2 million views on that one. And that goes to show the wonderful power of social media when it's working well. I love it.
That's brilliant. I think, I regret sometimes not buying certain things. Normally, it's probably for the best, judging by some of the fashion choices in my wardrobe. But clearly, this jumper meant a lot to her, and just brilliant. The power of social media, the good of Twitter. You hear a lot of badness about Twitter, but the great thing about Twitter. And when we contacted Celia to find out any update on what's going on, she says, "I'm still enjoying the puffin sweater and making plans to see some puffins this summer." But what's really nice as well is that Dave is hoping to meet Dave when he comes to Berlin in September.
Oh, wonderful. Or maybe they'll get married, and they'll get married surrounded by loads of puffins and wearing puffin jumpers together, and that'll be amazing.
I think they're both happily married with their families, Hannah. Sorry to burst that romantic bubble, but I love the friendship that's come out of this, and it's just brilliant, just the randomness of it all. And as I said, the good thing about Twitter, so I use eBay sometimes to try and hunt down things I regretted not buying. Maybe I choose Twitter as more of my personal.
Yeah. Well, I suffer from being quite an impulsive shopper, so I tend to just buy. I don't really have regrets about things that I haven't bought, more maybe just regrets about things that I have bought. But we've covered stories like this before on this podcast. There was that time when that kid lost his cuddly toy or something like that, and then the parent couldn't find it anywhere, couldn't a copy of it, they couldn't trace it, and so they got a carbon copy of it sent via someone who saw the plea on social media. So I think that was Twitter as well, actually. That was a few months back now. But yeah, it just goes to show that what good can come in what is kind of a pretty negative and divisive world out there at the moment. But it goes to show that there are good people out there, and puffin sweaters live long in our wardrobes, which is wonderful.
Well, it's a lovely way to end this week's show. We'll be posting highlights from this show on our social media feeds, along with links to the original videos and tweets, so you can check them out for yourself. And we will be back very soon. See you then.
See you soon.